Hi, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to study the next way to alter the flow in JavaScript, the control, which is loops, right? So in the last video, we had covered conditionals and the basic, all the ways to write conditionals. So in this one, we are going to cover loops. So what is loops basically, right? Um, until now, we have seen methods in which we can execute our code line by line sequentially, which is what normally happens. And we have seen methods which are conditionals in which we can choose to implement a set of code based on a condition, right? So what are loops? Loops are basically the things that you will use to do something repeatedly, right? So say you want to print the first thousand numbers on your screen, right? So without using loops, what you could do is you could write 1,000 lines in which you could console.log 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on until 1,000, and that will work. However, is that actually a good method? Of course not. So how will you actually do that? What if I told you that using loops, you could do the same thing in 2 lines, right? So what are loops? Loops are basically some code. There are some code that can help you do something like do these set of things, as in implement these set of lines of codes until this happens. So how you could do that, printing the first 1,000 elements, is that you could keep a variable which is initialized to 1, right, in which the initial value is 1, and then you could keep increasing that value by 1, um, right, and you could keep printing that variable until that variable reaches 1,000. This might be a little confusing right now, but this is the example that we will see in this case. So let's just do that. First of all, I'll make a new file. I'll save it as js loops.html, and I'll get my boilerplate, and title will be JavaScript loops, and I'll do an h1 saying JavaScript loops. Alright, so now I'll open this up. Of course, nothing happens. I make a new file. I save it as js loops.js, and I link to it inside my HTML file by doing script source is equal to js loops.js. And now our standard procedure will give an alert connected, and if I refresh, I get my alert. So this is working, and now we can start working with loops, right? So I'll put a comment saying loops. So there are basically two types of loops that we will see. The first is a while loop, and the next is for loop. And in this video, we'll be learning the while loop first, right? So first, let's take a simpler example than the one I was talking about earlier. Let's say you want to print hello, welcome to the page 20 times for some weird reason. You just want to print that 20 times. So how could you do that? Without loops, you would do hello, welcome to the page, right? And then you would duplicate this 19 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So now I have 20 lines with this. And if I refresh, and if I go to my console, I've got this 20 times. So this is happening. This is not a very big problem. But this is not the kind of code you would write in a good file, right? Because this was something that you had to do 20 times. Imagine having to do something 20,000 times. Would you write 20,000 lines of code? Of course not, right? So how do you do this? What you can do is you can put this inside of a while loop, right? So this is the basic syntax of a while loop. plus you will have a Boolean condition in here. And first, let's just put that Boolean condition. We'll initialize a var named counter is equal to 0, right? This is an integer variable, and now we are doing while counter less than 20, console.log hello, and then we'll do counter is equal to counter plus 1. And now if I refresh, I'll explain that syntax in just a moment. I'm getting hello 20 times, and this is from the same line, that is JS7, and the 7th line in this. So that is why this is showing this number up here. And if this is showing, the console is showing you a number beside a command, means that that command was executed these amount of times. So instead of printing hello out 20 times, it just shows us 20 hello. So we see this work. How did this work, right? So first, what does this condition do? So this is basically the condition that will be evaluated multiple times, right? First, this is 0, so this will see counter, which is 0 is less than 20, right? So the while condition is true, so this condition is true, and hence these statements will be executed. And that is the basic workflow of a loop. The condition that you give in here is checked at each run, and if that condition is true, this is executed, else you go out of the loop down to this line here, right? And that is how any loop would work. So here the counter is less than 20's condition is checked at every run, and while that condition is true, we are printing hello to the console. And what this line is doing is this is increasing the counter by 1, right? So basically it starts from 0, it checks 0 is less than 20, which is true, so it prints hello. Then it increases the counter by 1. Basically counter is equal to counter plus 1 means that we are increasing the value in the counter by 1. So basically it was 0, so now it becomes 1, but 1 is still less than 20, so we again print hello, and then it moves to 2. So now 2 is less than 20, again it happens, and you can imagine this keeps on happening till counter is 19. So now 19 is less than 20, this is executed, but now this becomes 20, but 20 is not less than 20, of course. So this loop breaks and we move to this line, because this is where the loop is ending. So now anything that is written here would be executed, right? Yeah, so this is how I printed hello 20 times, and if I did 20,000 here and I refreshed, this is taking some time, of course, because 20,000 is a really big number, but if you can see, this is going up, going up, going up, and this will eventually stop when we reach 20,000, and we could just wait for that. This is reaching 15 now, 16, 17, 18, 19, and it stopped at 20,000. So basically we printed 20,000 hello, we printed hello 20,000 times with just 4 lines of code, right? So here you see the power of the loop, and of course you will not do something like printing the same thing 20,000 times, but you will use loops a lot, and they will be used a lot of times, a lot, like I cannot explain the amount of times they will be used. So now let's do our example, that what if we wanted to print the first 1,000 numbers of the first 1,000 numbers. So you could do while counter is less than 1,000. So basically our counter runs from 0 to 1,000, and I can output counter, and if I refresh, I see I've got my first 1,000 numbers my first 1,000 numbers here starting from 0. So when you're starting from 0, the 1,000 numbers end at 999 instead of 1,000, right? So yeah, we just did that so easily, and you could change this number here to 10,000, and now if you refresh, this keeps going and going and going, and this will eventually reach 10,000 like it did here. Yeah, so this is basically what a loop is, and this is the syntax of writing the while loop. The for loop also does the same thing, but it just has, a different kind of syntax, and we'll see the for loop in the next video. So again, I'm just telling you the things here right now, and you might not be clear with these at the moment, the conditionals and the loops, but do not worry, we'll do an exercise in which you will get complete practice with this, right? Alright, so yeah, that is it for this video, and just to revise, the while condition, here we get a condition which returns boolean, right? And in this boolean, as long as this is true, these lines are executed, and as soon as this becomes false, these lines are now not executed, right? Alright, so that is it for this video. I'll see you in the next